Friday Night Racing
on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.
Yeah, you're very welcome along to this week's Friday Night Racing, brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. You can visit hri.ie, or of course you can follow the new Twitter account at HRI Racing, and the hashtag is every racing moment. Johnny Murtagh is our special guest this week. Johnny, how are you?
Good, Ger.
Season's greetings to you.
Yeah, it's good to be here, thanks.
Are you, did you have to watch your weight when you were riding? Could you enjoy Christmas because it was kind of off-season anyway, so...
Yeah, it was off-season for us, so we could always have Christmas dinner. And yeah, I remember riding in Australia when I was a kid, and there was always racing on St Stephen's Day. And I remember going, we went to a big hotel, the dinner came out, I remember having the starter, and going back, putting the sweat gear on and going for a run round Randwick. So not a great way to celebrate Christmas Day, but tough for the jump lads. You know, it's a big meeting for them, and a lot of them will be doing without their dinner. Yeah,
the jump lads is now something that you're involved in. You had a winner over jumps.
Yeah, I've got two horses over jumps now, Prosecution and Baba Boom. So Prosecution won there last, a couple of weeks ago in Limerick. Yeah. So I keep telling the jump lads it's bloody easy, this game. But it's a horse that didn't reach his potential on the flat. Right. But the hurdles, he seems to have taken the hurdles well, and he jumps well.
Are you not a bit mad? Was this not like the perfect scenario you had where you could work your whole off over the summer and then winter is like nice and calm, and now all of a sudden you're going to have to be a 12-month trainer?
Calm doesn't kind of go with me. I like to be busy, and it keeps the lads interested as well. You know, we've had a few horses to run in Dundalk, plus the two for jumping, so it just keeps everybody momentum going, and keeps everybody interested and happy.
Yeah, Dundalk's been fantastic in that regard. People forget that it wasn't there always, and like to have winter flat racing is great for punters, it's great for horsemen, it's great for owners, it's great for trainers, it's great for jockeys, you know.
Well, a lot of jockeys used to go. I remember used to go away to Dubai, Hong Kong, Australia. You had to go away because you didn't work. You didn't work for 4.5 months, 5 months. So now you can ride. And as I said to lads, if you can pick up 5 rides a week, 5 rides a week is 600 quid. Not a bad week's wage for any jockey. Most of the top lads are not there. January, February, March, or January, February anyway. So you can make a good living. Yeah. And then plus your percentage of first three as well. So it is. But there's so many horses in Ireland now. Like there's so many horses. Them entries now, they're so big, there's so many horses. And in all fairness to Dundalk, they have improved the track. It was a little bit hard there for a while, but they really have improved the track. And for the facility it is, I think it deserves to be upgraded to the max, because it could be a Group 1 track in the making.
Okay, right. I haven't heard that said before, so that's... I mean, look, you've got to have ambition, right? That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, like I was actually there last Friday as well, and there was a real sort of Christmas vibe to it, but there was a good crowd there, and they've moved the bookmakers into an indoor kind of place now where they're away from the elements. And Dundalk is a seriously cold racetrack in winter. Really, really cold up there with Navan. But it's actually a good night out. It's actually a good night out. There was a great buzz in the place, and it's like if you're bored of the fella that's talking beside you, there's always a race to bet on coming up. Do you know what I mean? So you have like a diversion or whatever. Great viewing facilities. You're right up by the horses. Yeah. You're right beside them as they cross the line. Yeah. There's a horse going by you at 40 miles an hour, and you are right beside them. It's not like a racetrack where you need the binoculars to see them finishing past the line. And top class riders, very good racing even in winter. Like there's some good cards, and I think it's a great night out. It's obviously it's not. It'd be ideal if it were like maybe smack bang in the centre of Dublin, but Dundalk, for people around that area, it's a great night out and a great kind of Christmas party vibe to it.
How is the winter for flat trainers?
Well, the winters for flat trainers is kind of slow. This is a kind of slow time of year. You have to be into the sales, you have to buy in new yearlings, you have to sell in your horses that, like we're kind of buying and selling, so we concentrate mostly on 2- and 3-year-olds. So they're all sold at either the end of the 2-year-old career or the 3-year-old career. You need about 25 new yearlings coming in every year. Right. Just to freshen it up, hoping that one is coming in, one good one is coming in. So what you're trying to do is keep it turning over. So it's a slow time of year. This time of year is trotting, hacking, getting the yearlings broke, getting their teeth done, getting them flu vaxxed. So the next month for us is busy, because they're all coming in. You're getting them all ready, but the first week in January starts picking up. Starts picking up. It's all about ground. It's like pre-season. Slow, building them up, and you don't really get going until first week in March is when the horses, you'll be picking out the horses that you're hoping is going to run the end of March.
You started training in 2013, so that's 5-6 winters since. Is there stuff that you can learn now in the next couple of months that you remember and file away for summertime and go, okay, this horse has this personality or trait that I need to work on, or that actually is really great and I need to build on?
Oh yeah, listen, it's you can see, you know, the more you do it, the more you learn. But you learn all the time in racing. If you think like, I'll have this down to a T, that's where the mistake is. You're learning all the time. You find out about horses. They're all different. They all have their own personalities. So as you say, if you find, I remember that horse I had a bit like him last year. You know, I've done that wrong. Maybe I'll try this with him this time. So it's all about just finding out what they are, what the personality is. But January, February, March are the most important months. Whether you're Aidan O'Brien, Nicky Henderson, or not Nicky Henderson, John Gosden, John Knox, Ger Lyons, that is the groundwork you put in. That is the base that they have.
The fitness.
The fitness, the base that will have, that when you step them up along the way, come March,
they're ready to go.
They're ready to go.
Yeah, and it must be interesting as well, because you could have like your sharp 2-year-olds, and then you have horses that like they're back in 2-year-olds, into 3-year-olds, and you're like, well, and you're probably learning week to week with what they are as well, I suppose. Like.
Oh yeah, listen, but you're, I don't care whether they're big or they're backward, they'll show you something. April. Your good 2-year-olds in April are usually your good 2-year-olds, whether they're big and backward. Someone might need a bit more time, but the feel they give you in April and the way they go and their attitude, it's, you know, I used to love that time of year riding, because that's the time you ride all the young horses, the new horses coming in.
Possible, like.
They're all swans.
When you got, say you got your 25 yearlings, right? So are you Manchester City type budget, or are you more like Wimbledon kind of scrimmaging to, or are you somewhere in the middle where this is my transfer market here and this is how much I can spend? So where are you?
Well, I bought 14 of myself. So I bought 40 myself. So some of them range from the cheapest, from 3,000 to the dearest of 56,000.
Right.
So they're all in there. So, but there's 20 new races in Ireland put on this year.
Yeah.
For horses that were bought less than 50 grand, or for whose stallions didn't make 50 grand. So you're in this kind of auction maiden races. So it gives you a chance. 20 races, 20 grand a race, a 200 grand race at the end of the year. So you're not going to be taking on Galileos or War Fronts.
Gives them the chance,
It gives you a chance to get an owner in and say, listen, I have a 2-year-old, he might win, he's a chance of winning 20 grand, it'll cover your costs, and you have a chance at 200 grand at the end of the year. It's a brilliant idea for the kind of budget we're on.
Yeah.
But we're buying bulk, hoping to find one.
Yeah.
And hopefully that one is going to pay for the 14.
You throw enough at the wall. So
Numbers.
You like the notion of us kind of putting forward a horse for Cheltenham, and we'll discuss like an anti-post, this or that, like, so the horse so the horse, just for argument's sake, the horse you paid 3 grand for, tell us about him. So if we're listening in now and we track it next year, the horse, the humble hero of 3 grand, was it he or she, and why did you buy a horse for 3 grand that you think could actually pay?
I was walking down the barn and I seen a horse by Murtagh, and I had a horse by Murtagh before who'd done quite well with me. We bought him cheap and we sold him to America. So I said, okay, it was late in the day. Jeez, I didn't see this fella. So he was from Rathbarry Stud. So I said, hey, can you pull him out? So I pulled him out, and I either like them or I don't the minute they walk out with the stable. I just don't know what it is. Sometimes I just pick him out of the stable. Sometimes I just, when they pull him out, I just don't like him. You have to be polite. Yeah, walk up and down. But this lad I liked, not too bad.
Right.
So he walked up and down. Small, but by Murtagh. Good mare side, Rathbarry, good old mare. She's bred a couple of winners. A few of them by acclamation. So Murtagh would have been a bit lower than acclamation. So listen, I said, he's a cheapie. I'll follow him in. I thought we might get him for 5-6 grand. So the reserve was 2 grand on him, and I think we bought him for 2.5. So it cost me 3 grand. No, I own him myself at the moment. So
that should be the first off the ball horse. There you are.
But
Johnny Murtagh,
he has no name yet, but he's by Murtagh. He's small, he's hard, he looks ready to go, and he looks the ideal type. He'll have low weight in those races.
And he'll be running the off the ball colours for 2020.
There you go.
What age is he? So 2-year-olds.
Just turning 2.
He's a yearling. He's a 2-year-old on the 1st of January. But that's how we.
First race season at the Curragh, the 5 furlong sprint maiden. Who knows? It could be us. Yeah.
And we'll sell him then for 50 grand.
Yeah. No, we're buying him for 50. He didn't cost 3. That's how the game works.
Well, you say you buy him for 3, but you buy him for 3, you bring him home, you train him for, say you train him up till March, it's 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's all added up all the time. So like, he has a shot. He's a shot of winning 20 grand. If he gets 20 grand, he'll cover his costs. And as I said, then it's the sell on. Because Ireland, we've so many good horses at the moment. The market is so strong.
For our horses.
If you finish like 2nd or 3rd in a maiden at the Curragh, America is in straight away.
Right.
There's a big market to America. Australia is big. Hong Kong is big.
Is that just a couple of agents here who work on behalf of buyers in Hong Kong and America who are like, okay, I know all this, and then obviously they have to perform when they get there, but they do perform when they get there, so happy days.
Ah, they do, and the best horses in Hong Kong are Irish breds. So they've been out there, they know what they want. They want horses with sound, fast ground, and there's a lot of Australian horses out in Hong Kong, but the best horses in Hong Kong are all Irish.
We had Davy Russell in last week, and he was talking about how one of the things that most people don't understand is the difficulty is finding the right race for your horses. We've talked a bit about this before. At the end of the year, do you look back and go, yeah, that plan with that horse really worked, that plan with that horse that didn't really work, we could have done these other things? Like, is this the time of year where you get to reflect on that, or do you do that constantly as the season evolves anyway?
I think you do it constantly, but there's a form book comes out, it gives you the form book comes out, and you sit there picking race. So I go in and I'll have one horse in my mind. I'll say, right, I'm going to find a horse I'll find a race for this horse, and you might have to go to maybe, just say you want to win a 1.5 mile Premier Handicap at the Curragh Derby Day. So you're thinking about Derby Day, which is the end of June.
Yeah.
So that's the target. So then you have to plot what is the best way to get there. What is the best way to?
You're working backwards from there, like, yeah.
So you're working backwards from there. So that's what you have to do.
Do you do that now, or do you do that in March when you've seen a bit of work from them?
Bit of work from them, but you would have horses 3-year-olds there now. Did you have races in your mind for them?
Right.
And then you're working. Okay, we've a few fillies there. Maybe they're going to run the Guineas Trial at Leopardstown. Guineas Trial at Leopardstown is the 5th of March. What is the best way to get them turn up in March in the best shape to give them the best chance of winning?
Because that's early. Like,
oh, very early.
Yeah.
Very early. But then, as I said, so you have to, you're going to have to ask them a bit in end of February, ask them a bit quicker. A bit quicker, then do a bit of work in March, maybe bring them away for a racecourse gallop. So you're kind of trying to plan this all out, racecourse gallop there, and 2 weeks then before the big day. Maybe
and then weather can get in the way and all these things can go wrong.
So you're not deciding at the end of February, I'm going to go for the...
No.
Yeah.
No, but it is one of the great things about the training, which I really enjoy, is picking a race, having a plan for the horse, ringing the owner a month out and saying, now, this is the plan for the horse. Or giving them a list. We're going to do this, going to do this, and going to do this. And when it comes off, that's a kick.
It's chess.
That's a...
Yeah. It's the last time the three of us together was with Joe Schmidt, right, on a panel with Joe Schmidt, when Joe Schmidt's currency at that time probably had never been higher.
Yeah. And
now you're reading all the reviews of Joe Schmidt. So Joe Schmidt isn't really any better or worse of a coach than he was then, but it's like your perception of him has changed. And as a trainer, Johnny
the World Cup was the wrong race, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so like as a trainer, things like you can have a great run, you're a genius, but like things can go badly wrong that basically are out of your control. But you're the same trainer. Johnny Murtagh's no better or worse trainer than he was 6 months ago, but you probably learned on the job.
Yeah, and in any sport, it's all about winners. If you win. And sometimes you might make a right mess of it.
Yeah.
And you just win because the horse is good or everything.
Or at least getting to a semi-final of a World Cup.
And then you but as soon as you lose,
you're a disaster.
And it's the same for you. You're a jockey, a trainer, a coach. In sport, that's what it is. It's ruthless.
I think in racing as well, that's particularly pronounced. That like Sean Flanagan gave a horse there in early December, a horse from the front, 3 mile race, unbelievable ride, nabbed on the line. He doesn't get ride of the month because it didn't win. But like he couldn't have ridden the horse better. You're talking like literally the horse that won the race making a slight mistake the second last. That's the difference in winning and losing.
Yeah.
But history is written by the winners.
And I often done the same myself riding. You ride, you get checked at a bad time, you think, oh, bad position here. You get up and you win in neck. And it looks like you're a genius. But really, you were just absolutely lucky. You should have won 2 lengths easy. Yeah. But, that's...
Get that a great ride.
That's it, you know what I mean?
How do you get up from there?
And especially if they have a few quid on it.
Yeah.
So if you have a few quid on it and you get up, you forget about. So they don't really analyse it. They don't really get into detail and analyse it and say, Jesus, if you rode it, if you just...
Yeah.
If you gave it half a ride, you would have won 2 lengths easy, and we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Murtagh's a genius.
And do you have time during the year for your own, and to see what the competition are doing? Do you have time to look back and go, well, that was a bit of a fluky win by that horse, so I can actually take him on at some point again in the future? Like, is that...
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you come away after defeat and you say, well, I don't mind meeting that fella again.
Right.
I said, I missed a week's work, or he just wasn't as fit as I thought he was, and, I know I'll have the better of him next time.
Yeah.
Or I'm not afraid to take him on. But I don't get too wrapped up in looking at other people's horses or reading the form or going into it that much.
In your riding days?
On the riding days, different. Now, in the training days, I just train my own horses. I concentrate my own horses.
Get them fit, get them well.
I pick the races for them, and whoever shows up, shows up. But I don't...
In your riding days, did you feel like riding for John Ox versus riding for Aidan O'Brien? Or was it the exact same thing? Or did you go out with a different kind of narrative in your head as you were riding for different, I suppose, owners and more pressure and so forth?
No, I went out with the same. I just wanted to win all the time. And I thought I could win on every horse all the time. I gave them all a chance. I wanted to give them all the best chance they had of winning. You know what I mean? So, you know, and now I just realise... Like, I thought when I was riding, sure, it was easy. You just get on the good horses, you put them in the good spots, and they win. No, you know, that's what you do. But it's different now as a trainer. You're doing all the work. You're getting them, thinking you're in the right spot, and there's so many things that can go, as you said, go wrong, and you know, different things. But I always had the intent. I didn't matter who I was riding for. I just loved winning, and I just, you know, done my homework, and kept it simple. You know, some lads. Just keep it simple. If it means going outside or inside, just go outside and win.
Yeah.
Don't be, you know, why go in there and just keep it simple? You're on the best horse. Get to the furlong pole. You're stronger than everybody else. You're better than everybody else. Just win.
Yeah.
And that's you know, that's a simple.
Yeah. I'd say riding for you is hard now.
Oh, it is.
Just win. That is all.
Well, that's what the lads said. You don't get any, you know, I am probably a bit too hard on the lads, you know, really, but...
Teaming up with Colin Keane a lot lately as well. You recognise...
Yeah, no, listen, I think for the owners, they deserve... He's the best, you know, himself, and, you know, this year especially, he had a brilliant year. It was one of the highlights of probably the flat season, himself and Donncha going at it there all through the season. Donncha pulled away in the end, but... Colin Keane is, you know, he reminds me of Pat Smullen, younger version of Pat Smullen, quiet, dedicated, doesn't say much, keeps it simple, gets the job done.
I honestly, I can't remember a race that he screwed it up. You know, it's just, as you say, he doesn't really make mistakes.
Well, he rode off me a couple of weeks ago, and he definitely should have won because he came in and said it. He should have won. So
I stand corrected.
But no, listen, he's. I think he's going to be world class. He just needs to break into the international scene now, you know. And it's tough because when Royal Ascot is on, there's racing here in Ireland, but he should be like going over there for 2 rides at Royal Ascot. He should have 4 rides a day.
Yeah.
So he needs his agent to be pushing just to get on those international scenes because, you know, with Donncha not there anymore. He's the man in Ireland now. He's the main man. He's only 24 or 5.
Yeah, it's just the stars have aligned for him now that he's... You
know, himself and Ger Lyons this year, breakthrough, first Group 1 winner, Seskin winning the Phoenix Stakes. You know, that was a real landmark. Khaled Abdullah horse. It's just, you know, it's now it's time just to build on that, And I think Ger is flexible with him. He knows he wants him to be an international jockey. That if there's a race in Cork on a Saturday, or there's a meeting in Newmarket or Royal Ascot, and he's got 4 rides, that's where he should be going.
Yeah, I can see there'd be tension there, because obviously you want to keep the best for yourself, but at the same time, if you want to have a long-term, multi-year relationship, then sometimes...
Yeah, Ger's been very, very flexible in that regard, and even as Colin was going for the championship, Ger would let him ride for other stables when you'd a runner that might have had a small chance. If you're going to ride a 3-to-1 chance for another year, go ahead, and you'd have to admire that. But a great lad, great temperament for the game.
We want to talk about these. You mentioned Pat Smullen there. These are the Keep Cups that were part of the Champions Race for cancer trials, and they're still available for people to buy. So I'd recommend everybody get their hands on one. That was your highlight of the year?
I think it was, you know, personally it was the highlight of the year. We had a Legends race with Pat Smullen. The only downside was he got a bit sick before, and he wasn't able to ride himself. But it'd be nice to have him there one more time just to give him a good whipping. But no, a great guy, a great day. Another highlight probably was the Curragh. You know, the new development.
Yeah.
Didn't start well, but it felt like that day.
That was a fantastic day.
That day kind of it was a real feel-good factor. The industry came together. Everybody in the industry came together for Pat.
It was a bit of a rebirth.
Like,
yes.
We're very quick to knock stuff in this country, right? So if there's an idea to put something in the city centre of Dublin, 80% of people will say, what a waste of money, why don't we put it here? So the Curragh costs a lot of money. Teething problems, as you know. But that day, I kind of went half as a journalist, half as a spectator, and to be able to basically go two flights up to a vantage point right over the parade ring and then walk about 5 seconds and you're right at the finishing line. And the way that the spectator experience that day, to me, said the Curragh needs the support of racegoers again, and maybe the Curragh can kind of, you know, tap into local community under Pat Keogh and all that, but the morale for Pat Smullen that day was something you just couldn't buy. There was a real feeling of way beyond sport in terms of what it meant, and grown men crying that you wouldn't expect, like Pat Smullen and Tony McCoy, more or less in tears and locked together after the race. It was mad stuff, and Pat at the HRI Awards was in great form there recently as well, and it was a fantastic day. I don't know, it was one of those rare days in sport.
It was, and even in the weigh room with all those jockeys again, it was magical.
Actually, you nearly forget that all these legends were riding as well. And
I was looking forward to it, because I was looking forward to so much, because this is it, the last go, the new Curragh. I never ridden in the new Curragh before, and for me as a trainer, the new Curragh is fantastic. Weigh room is there, saddling box is there, brilliant parade ring, viewing top class. So everything is in place. We have this worldwide industry. Now we have a world-class venue to showcase it, but it didn't feel like that at the start.
No.
It wasn't until that day. And as I said, I was really looking forward to it, but it was everything and more. The event went so well.
What was the crack in the weigh room?
It was just great. It was just great to see the guy, Charlie Swan, Paul Carberry, you know, Fallon was there, Ted Durkin, Ruby was there, Mackay, of course. You forget. For me, I always, you know, Mackay up on the pace, forcing the pace, making horses jump, just out-battling everybody, his will, out-battling everybody. And he done exactly the same on that day.
Yeah,
like, I thought I had him.
Result.
I went to him a furlong and a half down. I said, I have this race. I said, I have it.
And Murtagh gave it a bad ride.
And then he comes and beats... my horse didn't stay. But again, you know, it was real Tony McCoy. He showed a bit of emotion, because he's all this big front.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a hard man, I don't cry, I don't feel pain, or I'm not excited. He was excited that day.
Yeah.
And when we pulled up and we walked back in front of the stand, the cheers and the roars, you know, because you could really take it in, because it was, you know, it was over the race. You don't usually do that. And then when you come back into the parade ring, you see so many people, packed parade ring. It was one of those days, and as I said, for me, personally, it was the highlight of the year.
That's the challenge for, I think, racing in 2020, to not lose sight of people going racing. And when Tony O'Hare got the award for the special recognition, they played a clip of him cheering home Denoli when he won the Hennessy in '96, I think. And watch that race on YouTube. And I will defy anyone that doesn't get the hair standing in the back of their neck when Denoli hits front, and the roar from the crowd. We need that in racing. If there's no noise in the crowd, racing is not the same. And we need to have that participation where we embrace these horses and we enjoy the experience. Because if you go to a football match and everyone is mute, I prefer watching on TV. And that's our challenge for 2020. Don't lose sight of how much... And I remember Pat Smullen actually winning the first Champions Weekend at Leopardstown when he won. I think he won on Free Eagle in the 2-year-old race. And he said, like... I really miss this buzz at a flat meeting where the crowd is really, and we need that at the Curragh, because it's a world-class facility with the best jockeys, trainers and horses in the world. We need to embrace that, or racing will be in a bad place in 10 years' time. Yeah,
well, hopefully that was a turning point for the local community and for the actual amphitheatre becoming something that everybody wants to go and be part of. Yeah. Well, I suppose, as you say, like, sometimes we're too quick to knock. New Curragh, give it a chance. Yeah. You know, let's get behind it. Let's get behind it and support it and give it a chance. And as I said, Royal Ascot was built. It was supposed to be this brilliant. But the first few years was pretty bad. So they learned by the mistakes. So we have to learn at the Curragh. We have to learn by mistakes. And it's not just the facility. It's all the little extras that's around. Yeah. The coffee shop, the pizza little man making, all those little things. The ice cream man. You know, you can't run out of ice cream halfway through this today. No. Yeah. You know, like them little things like that. You've got to learn these things. They're the little things. And because I said, if you can look after the wife and the children of probably the husband who wants to go and have a punt, they're the people who need to, they're the people who need to get back. And I believe racing's a drug. If you get into it once, 10 people go racing, 2 people get bitten by the bug, and they'll come back. That's the thing. They'll come back. Some of the photos as well that were taken at dawn at the Curragh this year, I think some of your horses as well, they're just working basically as the sun is coming out. Silhouette. Literally unbelievable. And the backdrop of that stand as well, like, you're like, this is on our doorstep, we need to embrace it. All right, let's talk about some of the actual racing that happened over the course of the year, some highlights. Do you have any other highlights apart from that day? Yeah, we went through this, I suppose, recently. Like,
For me, the story of Mad Moon this year for Kevin Prendergast, who's 87 years of age now, he didn't win the Derby, but he was second in the Derby, and he went there with a very good chance. Like, to think, what will you be doing if you're not yet 87? What will you be doing? Like, you're 22 years past retirement, and Kevin Prendergast was at the peak of his powers, and he went to the Epsom Derby with a horse that he thought would win, that finished second to Aidan O'Brien, and for that I can't think of a sport where somebody's operating at the peak of his powers 3 years from being 90. You know, it's just off the chart. So we had that. For me, the highlight was the Pat Smullen day as well, but also I think Donnacha O'Brien and Colin Keane was a brilliant battle. Donnacha obviously retired at the end of the year, but we should appreciate how much he went through to reach the pinnacle of his career, where we spend so much money on nutritionists and diet and gym and all that, and this is a lad who's basically riding at the top of his powers, who hasn't eaten for 2 days, and for what he did, I think should be appreciated, and now it's up to Colin Keane to kind of step up to the mantle in 2020. And
I suppose you're going to say Aidan O'Brien's son, you know, it does help, but he still has to be able to ride, and the ride he gave Kew Gardens in England to beat Stradivarius.
Yeah.
World class. World class. It's just a pity he's 6 foot instead of 5 foot, 5 or 6. You know what I mean?
So he'd have 20 years doing that.
You know, and the weights have gone up, and they've gone up, and he has a chance, but he's just too big. And now, as I said, he's 21. He's now he's moved on to the trainers' ranks, which won't make it any easier. But
like he is Aidan's son, right? But like, he's Aidan's son, but he still had to ride the horses to the level under a real pressure environment. And as much as Donnacha was privileged, Aidan came from very little. Aidan came from a humble background, and everything that family achieved was actually through hard work and craft, and ultimately Aidan's genius. But it's frightening to think what Donnacha could do when you see Joseph's the biggest dual-purpose trainer in the world. I don't know how he manages all the horses he has. Aidan is Aidan. Aidan is still only 50. He could train. He's 36 years younger, 37 years younger than Kevin Prendergast. I was at Jim Bulger's table at the HRI Awards. Jim is 78. Turned 78 Christmas Day. No sign of him slowing down. And Aidan is 50. Donnacha's 23. Frightening stuff. Frightening stuff. Aidan and Donnacha combined are still a good bit shy of Jim Bulger, not to mind Kevin Prendergast.
Yeah, and as I said, on the classics, you know, Charlie Hills won the 2,000 guineas. Phoenix of Spain now standing the Irish National Stud. Hermosa backed up the English 1,000 guineas winning easy in Ireland. You know, Aidan won both guineas in England. Magna Grecia and Hermosa backed it up in the Irish guineas. So the Derby outsider, what's his name?
Sovereign,
out 33 to 1 outsider, given a great ride by Beggy. Frankie Dettori, 50 this year, or 49 this year. 19 Group 1s for the year. Jockey of the year. World Jockey of the Year.
You obviously rode at the Curragh. Was there any... Hang on a second. You're the same age, Frankie Dettori, right?
Yes.
You retired way too early.
That's right.
Took the easy way out.
I took the easy way out, yeah. I'm enjoying me dinner. But, hey, no, there's times I would think of that.
Yeah.
He's, you know, same age as me, but, you know, he got back with John Gosden, and that's the key for Frankie Dettori.
Right.
He's the #1 man again. You know, he's had a brilliant year. Starcatcher won the Oaks. But for me, I think not just the Pat Smullen race that day, because Champions Weekend is the highlight.
Yeah, in the two
right?
as well. Like,
we had Leopardstown, which was a bit of a dab squid because Aidan won 4 of the races and it looked like, oh God, you know, he's just cleaning up again. But on the Sunday in the Curragh, Meidler win the Ledger.
Yeah.
Chris Hayes. The Aga Khan wins a big Group 2. Godolphin, the best 2-year-old of the year, Pinatubo. He's the best 2-year-old we've seen in many years.
Right.
People are saying he's good as Frankel. He still has to do it.
Yeah.
He's a very, very good 2-year-old. He's unbeaten in 5, won all the big races. So the Sunday at the Curragh was one of those days where everybody got a piece of the pie, topped off by the Legends race. That was, you know, it was one of those great days because, you know, you can't have the same people winning all the time.
You need competition.
But Aidan O'Brien has set the bar worldwide. And I think it's, people say, what? He's risen the bar for everybody, and that's where the Irish trainers now, you can see Ger Lyons, Dennis Hogan this year had a great year, make a stand. Ken Condon won a Group 1 in France, and Matthew Smith. How's the horse? He won 3 races in Galway over the week.
Yeah.
Like, never done before. So, like, these are trainers given horses, given the ammunition, could compete anywhere anywhere in the world. So we're very, very lucky in Ireland. It was for the flat. I would say it was a great year, topped off by just many highlights.
Does it feel like that when you're in the middle of it, that the standards are so high that you've got to drive standards on a day-to-day basis?
Sometimes you walk out and you think, is it worth it? Jeez, you're buying a horse for $3,000. You look up, you go to the Curragh.
Tried to sell them to us there 20 minutes ago.
Well, no, that's a really good one I'm selling you. But, is it worth it? And then you see a guy like Matthew Smith or Ken Condon win the Group 1, or you see Kevin Prendergast, full of life. You meet him, he's 87, he's like a 2-year-old child.
Yeah.
What's that one that worked up there? He'd be watching your horses, what's that one of yours there? I'd say, never mind. And he'd come back 2 days later, he says, I found out how that one is. He's just one of those guys.
Well, like Geological that Damien English trains was bought for 800 guineas, and Vanessa May, who rode that to victory 3 times this year, brought its career earnings up to over 200 grand. So it can be done. Like 800 quid is a lot less than the 3 grand horse we're getting, but it can be done, and it's not as much as you go for the good pedigrees. There are those stories of rags to riches, and that's what keeps people going.
Well, that's what I think what keeps punters going. But what keeps you going? Because you're obviously at the very elite of the elite in terms of your riding career. Now, at the end of the year, when it's like cold and a bit miserable outside, and you've got 2 jumpers.
I just want to be consistent and identify if the horse if he's a 70 rated horse, I want him to run to 70 every time he runs.
Yeah.
And I think this year we done that. We had a lot of seconds and thirds. We had 35 seconds. So if 10 of them had won, then we would have had a great year. Because people saying, you had a good year, Johnny, you had a great year. It didn't feel great. Yeah. But when you look back on it, we had a very good year because we had winners in April and we had winners there last week.
Yeah.
So it was a consistent flow.
Do you blame anyone for the 35? Or do you blame yourself?
Jockeys.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Listen. But when you get beat the short heads and the heads, and especially when I was riding, I was very critical of myself.
Right.
Or even the winners, because you'd be watching there, you go home, you'd be watching. You didn't need a jockey coach because you knew deep. And I suppose the lads know. Deep down in their soul, they know.
Them,
you know what I mean? Well, I'd be telling them now and again, But
are you sorry? You didn't answer my question really, though. Are you not tempted in any way to come back as a jockey?
No. Listen, after the Pat Smullins Legends Day race, I kind of knew. I said, Johnny.
Were you knackered after it?
I was.
Yeah. Okay.
I was drained.
Yeah.
I was totally drained. I was tired, and my legs were tired, and I felt 49. Mentally, I feel about 21 or 22, but realistically,
yeah, fair enough.
It's and there's a lot of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday work.
Yeah.
And if you don't prepare to put in the work on those days, you can't just rock up.
And you did it for 20 odds.
Listen, I had a great run, and I got out when I wanted, injury-free, and listen, and when I look at all the young lads now in Ireland, again, I'll go back, Slattery, Ben Cohen, Oisin Orr, the 2 Crosses. We've got so many good young lads coming through. The unreal.
We did the piece with Ben, Andy Slattery and Gavin Ryan earlier in the year, but I was talking to Andy Senior at the HRI Awards, and you can definitely relate to this, where if you're a precocious young rider, it's like a footballer that goes to England when he's 16. He thinks he's going to make it because everything has come easily to him to this point, and if he's 3 top clubs trying to sign him as a 15, 16-year-old, obviously you've already achieved it. So I was kind of saying to Andy Senior, I suppose the challenge now is just to say, to reinforce to him that most apprentices don't really achieve what look likely because it's such a tough game. And he's like, I remember when he won the big race this year, when his biggest winner of his career, he went home that evening and he watched a movie. And I was just like, I don't think many kids, you could watch the race a million times. If I won a race, I'd imagine I'd just gorge on that race and watch it back and realise this happened. He went home and he watched a movie, just forgot about it, move on to the next day. And I think that's what you need to do. He's a talented lad.
But I think that's what you have to do, because you're only as good as your last winner. And you want to always remember that, because I've seen loads of good apprentices come along and probably lose their claim too quickly.
Yeah.
Lose it too quickly. You could ride, he's ridden, 58 or 9 winners this year? So that's more than half. Now he's down to claiming 3.
And he's small as well.
And he's light and he's small. And it's only his second full year riding. So he's riding against the Kevin Mannings and the Declan McDonoughs and all those guys who was 25, 30 years riding.
Yeah.
So they imagine the experience they have against a fella riding 2 years. So if he has to compete with them on a level playing field after 2 years riding, unless they're exceptional, and they fall into a big job like Colin Keane, he got snapped up as a 3-pound claimer into Ger Lyons, first jockey. There ain't enough jobs in Ireland. So those lads that are coming along, there's 5 or 6 of them, there's one big job.
Yeah.
There's one big job. So one lad is going to go and the rest of them are going to stay there. And it's how they handle staying there. And it might stay there for a year or a year and a half.
Johnny, that's mentality. Like, that's how you deal with ups and downs. Like.
And that's luck.
Yeah.
That's luck. And as you say, yes, mentality. You have to. It's very hard for to say, right, I'm going to stay here. I know it's going to be tough for a year or a year and a half or 2 years, but I'm going to keep toughing it out. I'm going to stick with it. But it's hard to do that when you're only riding.
Robbie Power is at the peak of his career. He's 38. Like, he's just, all of a sudden, the stars have aligned with Colin Tizard and, like, stuff that is really, really weird, the way it happened with the Potts family being involved with Jesse, and then the Potts had horses with Colin Tizard, and then sort of by default. And Robbie will definitely say this as well. He was a journeyman jockey at that stage where he was a good jockey. Nobody would say he was even Davy Russell. But Robbie Power now, he's riding the best horse he's ever ridden. He's 38. And that's because he kept going. And he kept going. He believed in himself. And he didn't throw the toys out the pram. It's amazing. Like, at 38, he's literally the best book of rides he's ever had.
But it's hard to tell a young lad who's 20, 21, 22 that.
Wait till you're 38.
It's hard to tell them that.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
No one listens.
And the way the world is at the moment, you know,
your attention span, you want it now. Like,
you know, I'd go down and speak to, in Race, the apprentice school, I go down and speak to young 16, 17, 18-year-olds now. They come back from Christmas, they're a bit lonely. I say, stick with it, lads. In a year's time, you will have your licence and be riding. And I know by the reaction on their face, a year? What's he talking about, a year? You know, it's a year for a young person nowadays is like a lifetime. And I remember myself.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah, of course.
I'm ready to go now.
Yeah.
But that's the big problem we have. The top lads are always going to be okay. They're going to be riding every day. It's those lads that are after doing well, they've hit a bit of a dry spell. They're the guys we need to be minding, I think, a bit more.
Absolutely.
You know, because one night out can lead to whatever. Maybe their career ending.
Absolutely, yeah. And
being in the wrong place, being the wrong person, drinking the wrong thing, taking the wrong thing, and you see it there at the moment. A few positives here, a few positives there. It's tough on young people at the moment.
What would you do? Well, so apart from going in and telling them, which there are definitely some people who will listen. Are there practical things you can actually do for that?
They need more help. They need probably, like, I've got young lads in my yard. I should be spending maybe more time with them. They need more time, but I don't have time. Like, I had a girl there and I says, listen, she came in, she started riding for me, she was a moderate rider. I says, you need to improve your riding. I said, I don't have time to teach you. This is not a riding school. I need to train 50 horses. But you need to grab someone in this yard and ask them,
how does it work?
How does it work? Get into the system. And she wrote to me there last week out the yard. She improved 150% in 3 months by herself and by the people in the yard driving it. And
you have a big responsibility there, because if you say the wrong thing, depending on that person could be gone from the game forever, and could be a good rider in the making. So now, I suppose it's the powers of your persuasion as well.
I'm very straight with them. I'm hard but I'm fair. I don't hide anything. I say it exactly as I see it. I have to go back and apologise every now and again, because some things happen and I kind of, you know.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, you know, hard, fair, but they probably need more of your time and the people they're with. It's probably a bit harder now because young lads are not attached to yards. They're 2 days here, 2 days there. So, like, when I was with John Ox, I was there 7 days a week. So he'd see you every day. The head lad seen you every day. So they knew you. They got a feel for you.
And they could say, hang on a second,
you know,
somebody could have a word.
Yeah. We heard about you last night. We know you were out the weekend. Someone would say something to you. Whereas now, you don't really know. They're not. So they need, I feel they need managers. But it's hard to be, you're the boss as a trainer. And then all of a sudden, my manager said, you You know, so it's hard, but they need... And I don't mean just riding managers. Life managers. 17, 18, 19-year-olds, that's...
We could all do one of those, though.
Yeah. Give us a number there.
Friday Night Racing brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. It is time for us to, you know, the season of giving and all that. Fantastic racing action on both sides of the Irish Sea, obviously, this Christmas. Still plenty more to come. Both of the lads have €100 each to try and give the Tote Injured Jockeys Fund a Christmas boost. Do you have a bet for us?
I still like Altior.
King George.
I still like Altior. I still think the King George is made from. The track is tight. He's plenty of speed. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt first time out. Nicky wouldn't have had him ready. He'd be probably training him now to stay a bit better.
He didn't handle the ground at all, I thought. Like, he never travelled. It wasn't stamina that beat him. He never went a yard, like, so.
Yeah, and I'd say, as I said, the ultimate target for him is probably the Cheltenham Gold Cup. So he's training for that. But if he's going to win that, he has to win the King George. So I'm going to go for Altior and the King George. I think he's about 6 or 7 to 1.
All right.
Yeah, I suppose I will put up, I was going to say Envoy Allen. I'm not sure if he's going to run. Not sure if Andy Dufresne is going to run. Wherever Lost in Translation goes next. That's so at the time of this, I'm not particularly sure, but Lost in Translation, who was ridden by the aforementioned Robbie Power, wherever he goes next, I think he's going to go right to the top. All right, good stuff. Tote customers can enjoy free racecourse tickets to selected meetings throughout the year. See thetote.com for more details. I hope you've all had a great Christmas. We'll be back with another Friday Night Racing next week. Johnny, thanks very much. Best of luck with everything.
Thanks, Chip.
Enjoy the off-season.
Any old winner for 2020 for us, apart from the $3,000 horse?
I've got a few there ready to run. I've got a nice horse called Call Me Rocky. Ran up in Dundalk, finished 4th first time out, sure to improve, should win a mile maiden, January, February.
Call Me Rocky, we'll keep an eye on that.
What more do you need?
Good stuff, another Friday Night Racing is in the books. We'll see you soon, take care.
Friday Night Racing.
On Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.